oi, listen, gay guys. And I was like, I'm very tall.
Very.
Michael Douglas!
M.
Oh.
M.
Mom! Welcome to RnR with me, Courtney Act. If you came for rest and relaxation, you are in the wrong place. We're going to go beyond the surface and talk about what really matters. He is a father, husband, voice for the LGBT community, Olympic gold medalist. You've seen him dive. You were in Sharknado 5?
I was.
Please welcome Tom Daley.
RnR. I just went full Australian. I
Perfect.
tried that.
No, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah, I was in Sharknado 5, jumped off of, I think it was Lambeth Bridge in London, into a shark's mouth.
Huh. Is it related to you diving?
It came through an email one day and I was like, oh my gosh, like Sharknado 5, like sure, because we watched it on a plane once, all of the Team GB divers, and we thought it was the most ridiculous thing that we'd ever seen. And then when it came up, I was like, I kind of have to do it and like surprise the team. So
did they love it?
They did. I can't say that I think any of them have watched it, and I don't think I have either.
Did you watch it?
I watched my clip, the minute that I was in, you know, because...
Too busy.
Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want, like taking a hike or putting on a wig. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavour with none of the fuss. So get started at factormeals.com/Courtney50off and use code Courtney50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Tom, your house has got an Olympic gold medal. It's got an Oscar.
It does.
It's got 2 kids. It's got a burgeoning knitting empire.
Yes.
That's pretty exceptional.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think, actually. But, you know, we're just normal. I mean, you came over for dinner the other night and you saw the chaos that is after school. It's kind of wild all day. Like once you drop the kids off at school and then it's go, go, go all through the day. Lance, hubby, is working on all kinds of different TV theatre kind of stuff. I'm knitting away, and then we meet up to pick the kids up, and then it's chaos until they go to sleep. But, you know, it's kind of fun at the same time.
I guess there's probably an element that feels very normal, but then there's these achievements that you have that are exceptional, that are like, I mean, an Olympic gold medal is as exceptional as it gets, arguably, as is an Oscar. And I was thinking about this idea of like queer exceptionalism, and like growing up, I knew that I was different, and if I could be really good at this thing, then maybe people would accept me for the thing that I was good at rather than questioning my queerness.
Yeah. Growing up as a queer kid, you feel that automatic sense of shame, that you are different, you're less than, and you're an outsider, and you shouldn't be treated like your normal counterparts. But at the same time, you want to kind of almost, use it as a bit of a distraction tactic of being able to overachieve in a certain area to therefore be able to feel like, well, you know what, I'm doing really well in this and I'm going to put all of my energy into this and hopefully it will distract from the thing that is wrong with me. And it's funny that when we were talking about Lance as well, like we kind of bonded over those shared experiences of having to go above and beyond to try and save ourselves almost. But it was something that really brought us together, that feeling of reaching the pinnacle in something that we do. And then on the other side of it, the drop that comes from it and the feeling of just being completely low because you don't know what's coming next and you don't know how you're ever going to feel like that ever again. But then there's no one to talk to about that because nobody quite understands. I couldn't speak to my teammates about it because they're like, what are you talking about? You just won an Olympic medal. Like, get on with it. Whereas Lance kind of has that understanding after winning an Oscar and the feeling of like then having to live up to that every day.
That must be nice to have that solidarity with your partner, to be able to talk about, like, I think I messaged Bianca about, like, I don't talk to money about anybody, but I can talk to Bianca about money because she's got more of it, so she doesn't care. It must be nice to have that in your partner at home.
Oh, absolutely. There's lots of things that he's taught me in terms of creative thinking outside of the sport regimen and routine. And there's lots of things that although his least favourite thing to talk about is schedule, but I just love a schedule. I love looking in my diary, seeing a list and being like, I'm going to do this, this, this and this. And for him, that is his idea of hell.
I imagine your whole life has been a schedule, right?
Yeah.
Because you've been diving since, what, the age of 7?
Yeah, I was 7 when I first started diving, and that started off as like a once a week thing, and then it became twice a week, and then it was before school and after school. At my peak, I was doing about 28 hours a week of training, and doing that across maybe 10 or 11 training sessions. So I had that same routine and that same structure every day, and now having like stopped that part of my life, it is very weird having every day be slightly different.
You've now got 2 kids, Robbie and Phoenix.
Yes.
How do you find time for each other? How do you find time for yourself? And how do you find time for the kids? And then careers?
It's really tough.
Yeah.
And I think any parent will tell you the first thing that goes is time for each other, you know, in the relationship, which is really difficult. But like in the first year, it's kind of inevitable because you want to be there to enjoy and, you know, support each other through every single moment. You know, we're doing better about trying to make more time for each other by going out on, you know, date nights and trying to, even if we can't go out for a date night, trying to make a special occasion at home, even if it's on a Friday night once the kids are in bed, try to do something. But it is tough, you know, and you have to try and figure out what your priorities are. And, you know, we try and keep all of our work to when the kids are at school.
Well, you can't really do anything when you've got 2
No, you
children
can't.
running around the house, can
Especially Phoenix, our youngest one, is quite the chaos creature. He loves to climb, jump, run, and do everything dangerous.
you? Oh, but very adorable.
Very adorable. I mean, I'm biased, but I think they're both adorable.
The other night, I was at your house and Robbie loves Lego.
Oh, he loves Lego.
And I said that I love Lego when I was a kid, and you said, oh, I didn't really ever have time for Lego as a kid because you were busy with diving.
It became my life, really. I would wake up, I would go to training, go to school all day, come home, eat something really quickly, go to training, come home, do any homework that I had to do, eat and then sleep. It was the same thing, day in, day out. And you have to sacrifice lots of time with your friends and lots of things that you would want to do as a normal kid. But at the same time, I got all of these incredible experiences. You know, nothing worth having is easy, right? So you gotta sometimes make some sacrifices.
Yeah. Being an Olympian or just an elite athlete, perfectionism must be a requirement of the job. Like you're trying to do this dive perfectly, right?
I mean, you're trying to score the perfect 10,
Yeah.
right? You are like every day you're striving to be that little bit better. And it's in sport, it's all about the 1%. And I think it's something that can transfer to everyday life is what are you doing that is going to make you slightly better than the other person? How are you going to be able to perfect what you're doing when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to recovery, when it comes to sleep, when it comes to training, mind and body connection, mindfulness? Like there's so many aspects where you may think certain areas are completely irrelevant and like, why am I doing this? This is a waste of time. But those little things are going to be what are going to make the difference between being good and being great.
Summer is here. More sun, more light, more time to do all of the things that make summer so special. And the number one thing you don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours cooking inside. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals arrive fresh and ready in just 2 minutes. Perfect for active lifestyles over summer and beyond. With 45 menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your summer gains and your goals, like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor has nutritious breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Enjoy more this summer. Get Factor if you want all the flavour and none of the fuss. I had this tofu, it was tangy, and it had cauliflower rice, which is great for the summer. But yeah, I really enjoy them. They're very easy and delicious. Get started at factormeals.com/Courtney50off and use code Courtney50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Courtney50off at factormeals.com/Courtney50off.
You have got 2 beautiful children with your
do.
husband Lance, and you went through this process of surrogacy.
Yes.
I want to know what it's like being 2 dads going through this process.
Being a dad is the most special experience. Yes, it's incredibly difficult, but the feeling of coming home to your kids, it's just magical.
What's the most difficult conversation you've had to have with Robbie so far?
Kids go through this stage when they're about like two to 4, where they're just obsessed with like just taking their clothes off. I think it comes from potty training. Like when you start potty training, they just take their clothes off and they just are like, yep, this is normal. And you have to explain, no, you can't really just do that anywhere. This is for the bathroom. But going back to your the process of surrogacy, I mean, we started that back in, I want to say 2016, one of our amazing friends agreed to carry our children for us. And it was this really special thing where knowing her husband and her kids, and that somebody would agree to do that. They genuinely changed our lives for the better in ways that we couldn't have even ever dreamed of, and made our dreams come true. And it really does take a special kind of person to do that. We had to go into a room, and we had to go in separately, Lance and I. There's a TV, there's a seat with like a protective cover on it, and a pot and a brown bag. And you are able to scroll through the channel to whatever you may desire to watch.
Does it have a good selection?
They had everything you could possibly imagine. But then what was going through my head at the time was like, what do I really want to be watching
Right?
when this moment happens?
Like, I'm a godless atheist who doesn't believe in anything, but I do feel like it's certainly possible that, like, what you're thinking about at the moment of
never
ejaculation, like, somehow through
Manifests itself.
in that zygote.
Yes,
And
but
then one day that child.
is going to be thinking and feeling that is there.
So did you close your eyes and think about the love of your husband?
Yes and no. It was an interesting time. And it was also one of those things, it's like, we're talking about this in quite a graphic way, but like the longer you take, normally the more comes out, right? But then at the same time, when there's like a nurse or a doctor waiting outside the door, you're like, do I really want to take a long time to do this, or do I want to just get this over with?
Yeah.
So it's like, it was a bit
I imagine
of
not a very sexy
not a very
environment
sexy
either.
environment. It was
It's a
very
shame that
like,
you can't go in with your partner.
I know. So basically it goes into the pot, which is actually a lot easier to aim and get it in there than you'd imagine.
Good to know.
Screw it on, in the bag, call the nurse, they come and collect it. The embryos are created, and then they are implanted. And 9 months later, hopefully you have a
Ding.
beautiful baby.
Baby.
It was the most magical experience, incredibly bonding for all parties involved, and it was really, really special. And we still stay in contact like all the time and do visits. Robbie calls her his tummy buddy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are there any difficult conversations that you're nervous about having with Robbie?
Living in LA, we are kind of in a little bit of a bubble, if you like, around what is considered normal. And
Normal is a cycle on a washing machine.
it's true, it's true. I'd never want him to think that we'd have to lie to him in order to navigate something just to make it easier at the time.
Santa Claus.
That's a difficult one. It's funny because we've never lied to Robbie about it. We've always said, what do you think? And then he tells us what he thinks. And we're like, oh, that's cool. We never like confirm nor deny.
It's not just your kid, it's then your kid telling other kids at school.
Exactly.
Which isn't necessarily fair.
No, exactly.
My dad said Santa's not real.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get that. Christmas is like such a magical like period of time with kids. And like the traditions that come with it is, yeah. it's
Like
cute.
taking your kids to a pantomime.
Like a pantomime.
I just did my first pantomime last Christmas, and
You
I
did?
will say it softened me on kids.
How old are the kids allowed to be to go?
All ages. Like
Okay.
little kids. Like at the end, Billy the comedian would get like 3 kids up from the audience. They'd sing Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and he'd say, who was your favourite?
Oh,
And quite
no.
often the kids would be like, the Blue Fairy.
Oh.
And it actually melted my heart. And I think I realised I've had this like hard line with, not hard line, I'm just like, I don't like kids.
Yeah.
They're not smart. I don't get the point.
Yeah.
And then I realised doing this panto, I think I had a little bit of a defence up because I was always afraid of being rejected by kids. And as soon as I heard these kids start to say that I was their favourite in the pantomime,
Yeah, exactly.
not in a narcissistic way, but actually in a way that like helped to melt. I was like, oh, these little kids just saw me being me, doing what I do, and they loved me, and I was their favourite thing in the pantomime. And I thought, oh, maybe I don't have to reject kids before they reject me.
Yeah, but I also think when you grow up queer, you have that feeling around being a kid that you feel
Yeah.
different, and you're like, it's a scary period of your life.
Yeah.
So often that translates onto like, oh, I'm not sure I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah, and when you're
anxiety
in drag as well, like I know what I am, but like when you're around kids, there's sometimes like are you a man? And you're like, yes, I am. Or you have a conversation with them to explain it. But I did this thing on the ABC in Australia called Little Kids Big Talk, where it was like little kids asking questions to me about like, is that a wig? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, see, I told you it was a wig.
Yeah, exactly.
And then another little boy in his little bow tie, and he had his like book of questions, and he was telling me that he liked dancing, and he was like, but not like ballet. I don't like wear a tutu. And he was like 7, and I thought, oh, they've got to you already. They've made you.
It's crazy how quickly it happens. Like even the other day, Robbie said to me, he was like, oi, listen, gay guys. And I was like, not homophobic, not homophobic already. It's funny how like they hear things at school and they see what is meant to be and what's not meant to be. But it's really nice actually hearing Robbie often correct some of the things that Lance and I say around, like, that's actually not very nice to say about someone. And we're like, oh, okay.
Where do you think Listen Gay Guys comes from? Do you think someone at school...
Well, we have this little rhyme that, you know, probably something that we would do in order to, like, prevent someone else saying it to him first. But, like, we always chant, Robbie Ray, your dad's a gay. And so, he probably from that, like, we've taught it to him.
You and Lance being dads and public about, you know, your family is a great way to create empathy. Sharing stories is a way that we show other people that our similarities are greater than our differences.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important.
I think visibility is like an incredibly important thing, and that's whether that's for families or whether it's, you know, in sport, in the workplace, whatever it may be, just being able to be true and authentic to yourself and be able to do the things that you love to do and enjoy doing and not let who you are hold you back from achieving your dreams.
Okay, well, we've talked about lots of light and fluffy things.
Yeah,
I want to get deep and meaningful and talk about knitting.
Yay! I'm doing this thing called the Knotty list, as in Knotty list.
I see what you did.
Yeah, and I'm making a few things for a few different people. The first thing I made for someone was for Sharon Stone. I made a cardigan.
Work. I'm feeling a little Michael Douglas right now on this. Hang on. Michael Douglas! March 2020 was when you took up knitting?
At the beginning of lockdown. It was because my coach said I never sit still and I'm always on the go and always busy, which is true. Then it was Lance who said to me, why don't you try knitting? People do it on film sets all the time. So I got my knitting needles, got my yarn, and went onto the YouTube University and taught myself how to knit.
Cut to sitting in the grandstand at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And those pictures of you knitting went viral.
I genuinely think knitting is my superpower. And I think everybody has the ability to unlock that superpower, whether it is knitting, crochet, craft, walking, whatever that mindful activity they do is. Because going into the Olympics, especially with Tokyo when it was COVID and we weren't allowed to socialise, we weren't allowed to do anything. There was nothing that we were allowed to do. And this is the one time in my day where I don't think about anything else other than what is right in front of me. And it helps me keep really present, really grounded, and it doesn't allow me to worry about what's coming next.
It's like a meditation.
Yeah, it's
You're
like
being
completely.
present.
This kind of became that for me, and I always carry it around with me, whatever projects I'm working on, because, you know, if I find myself arriving early or if I've got something that I'm jumping between in
Or
a
if
bit
the
of time.
drag queen who's interviewing you is running late.
You just sit and knit in the dressing room while we wait for you to get your wig, your nails.
Not only did it go viral, but it's become a part of your identity.
Yeah.
You're probably the most prolific knitter in pop culture.
I don't know about that.
Well,
but
wait, who else do you know in pop culture that knits? Well, you probably
Michelle
know better than
Obama.
I. Michelle Obama. But do you ever see her knitting?
She was on the cover of Vogue Knitting.
Oh, okay. Wait, is it a magazine called Vogue Knitting, or was it Vogue and she was knitting?
No, Vogue Knitting.
Are you moving into your Martha Stewart era?
Yeah, exactly.
Building a knitting empire?
That's the plan. I'm going to want to build a little knitting empire.
Because you're in like Michael's.
Michael's, yeah. It's basically I have yarn in those places, and then in the UK in like Hobbycraft, I have crochet kits, knitting kits, candle making kits.
Oh.
Well, I went to someone's house the other day and they had a candle that they were burning called dog toe beans.
Oh.
And I was like, toe beans?
So what is a toe bean?
Like the paw, like it looks like little beans.
It's going to smell like a dog's foot.
They literally smell like cheese. And I was like, I'm not sure about this.
You have a documentary coming out.
I do. I have a documentary coming out.
Does it have a title?
1.6 seconds.
Ooh, is it your 5'2"?
No.
Which is Lady Gaga's documentary, not your height.
Oh, right. No, yeah, it's not my height.
You're
it's not
taller
my
than
height.
that.
I'm very tall.
Very.
Taller than I think people think I am.
5'8", 5'9"?
5'9".
Okay. Continue.
Maybe 5'9.5", 5'10" if I wear some big boots.
What's the title
the
of the documentary?
title's 1.6 seconds.
1.6 seconds.
What do you think that is?
The time that it takes to get from the 10-metre platform to contact with the water.
That is correct, 1.6 seconds, 35 miles an hour. Essentially, it's a look back on my whole career through archival footage and through home videos that I never had even seen before.
Wow.
How I got into diving, the bullying and difficulty of growing up in the public eye in the UK, losing my dad, going to 5 Olympic Games, meeting Lance, and all of the different challenges that came with all of that.
When you came out all those years ago, I imagine it would have been a huge immense pressure and an immense fear.
In 2013, when I came out, it felt like an age ago. And even if you go back to London 2012, I wasn't out then. There were 27 out athletes. And then in Tokyo, there were more out athletes in those Olympic Games alone than all of the previous combined.
Wow.
And we've always been there and we're not going anywhere. It's just, as the future keeps coming at us pretty quickly, we're feeling more comfortable being ourselves.
Just looking from the outside, I feel like it's almost been an extra selling point for you being an out athlete.
As I've gotten older, I've come to realise that growing up gay is another superpower of mine, and all of the things that probably are slightly different about me, that like when it comes to knitting, when it comes to being gay, when it comes to getting married at 22 and having kids at 24, those are my superpowers, because sometimes the things that have challenged you or brought you out of your comfort zone are the things that allow you to, fly in the way that you want to.
Traditionally, RnR stands for rest and relaxation. After today's conversation, what could RnR mean for you?
Ooh, R&R. R for Robbie.
Robbie? There's not going to be a P for Phoenix.
There's no
in
P
there,
for
though.
Phoenix. I can't really do that, can I? Let's say
Call her Nix for short.
Nix, yeah.
Robbie, Nix.
Robbie, Nix, and what can Lance be for R?
Ratty.
Writer with an
Writer
R,
with
no
an R.
W. That's it. There you go. Robbie, Nix, and Writer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to my guest today, Tom Daley. If you want to get some knitting supplies, just look up Made with Love.
Made with Love. It's all there.
And you can find Tom on the internet at Tom Daley and also at Made with Love.
By Tom Daley.
By
yeah.
Tom Daley. It's
Yeah.
one word.
Very long one.
You can follow me at Courtney Act, and you can follow the show, Courtney RnR. And you can email us your questions, courtneyrnr@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Tom, and we'll see you next time.
See you later. R&R.
RnR.
It's easy to savor more this spring with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want, like asking your friend deep and meaningful questions while looking gorgeous on your new podcast. Get started at factormeals.com/Courtney50off and use code Courtney50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Ad-free versions and extended episodes of R&R with Courtney Act are available on Mum Plus Gold at patreon.com/Mum Plus. R&R with Courtney Act is produced by Moguls of Media, aka Mum, hosted by Courtney Act, produced by Big Dipper, edited by Griffin Dunn, theme song and audio supervision by Will Pitts, engineering and technical direction by Margot Padilla, media and design support by Stone Cole, set design by Ara Sevilla, production assistance from Austin Garcia, chairs furnished by Ellison Studios, executive produced by Alaska Willem Big Dipper, Camille Stennis and Joe Cilio, recorded at Forever Dog Productions.
Just doing my camera check, staring directly at the camera and the monitor at the same time. Oh, wow. Sorry.